You're listening to Tim Bulkeley's 5-Minute Bible. E100, Week 3. Genesis 37 to 50. What's so special about Joseph? Joseph gets 13 chapters in Genesis. It would be 14 if we just counted the numbers, but chapter 38 is about Tamar and Judah. 13 chapters is more than any other character in Genesis, even Abraham. This makes the story of Joseph one of 3 parts in the book that introduces the Bible. We've got the preface, we've got the patriarchs, and we've got Joseph. So, what's so special about Joseph that he gets all this attention? Oh, it's a nice story. It's been a favourite with Sunday school teachers for years. But to give him more space than Abraham? I think there are 3 reasons why the story of Joseph occupies so much space in Genesis. The first is the message of the story. Joseph himself tells us what that is in chapter 50, verse 20. Even though you intended to do harm to me, he says to his brothers, God intended it for good, in order to save a great people, as he's doing today. In that statement, Joseph himself makes 3 really vital points. The first is providence. God is in control even when it doesn't look like it, and often in Joseph's story it didn't look like it, particularly at the beginning. But all through the story God is in control. I've got a podcast on that which you might want to look at, talking about a mysterious little episode near the beginning of Joseph's life. So, A, providence. B, salvation. What God does in order to save lots of people. And that's part of the message of the book of Joseph. And that is at least a part of, it's the heart of, the message of the Bible. And then that last bit, as he's doing today. The story of Joseph is one of those which forces us to move the Bible from the ancient past into today's world, into our lives. So the first reason Joseph's story gets so much airtime is because of the 3 really important points that he tells us himself at the end of the story are the point of the story. But then there's the fact that Joseph is an exile. He's someone who lives in another country. He's someone who lives under empire. And you'll find as you read through the Bible that God's people have very, very often lived as exiles. First in Babylon, then beyond. And if you read the New Testament, Christians too are exiles, strangers in a strange land, not citizens here only, but also citizens of heaven. And of course, in many countries in the world, Christians today are exiles. We have a different culture from that which is dominant in our society. We live over against the empire. For many of us, it's the materialist Western empire. But for others, the culture we live against is different. But all of us are living as exiles, and the story of Joseph can give us some clues about living well as exiles. And thirdly, Joseph's story is a necessary step in the plot of the Bible. In order to get us to the story of Exodus, the book and the event, the miraculous redemption from slavery, which will be echoed in the New Testament, we need to get to Egypt.